everybody. I'm here with guest Katlyn Baker. Katlyn, you want to say hi?
I think we're going live now.
Katlyn was my private student. She went to Glenpool High School, and gosh, was it like 2 or 3 years that we worked together, something like that?
I think it was three or
Three?
four. Yeah, I
Ooh,
think it was
that's
all. I
great.
think it might have been four. I think it might have been four all through high school.
Okay, okay. Caitlin's one of my pretty good success stories. So she went on and she's just recently graduated with her degree in music education from Oklahoma State. Um, so you have graduation coming up. Has that happened yet, or are you done?
This Saturday.
This
This.
Saturday. Whew,
Mhm.
what a crazy way to end your degree.
Yeah, right? I'm student teaching right now, so it kind of already feels like I graduated.
Oh,
Um,
sure, yeah.
taking any classes right now or anything, so we're here.
Okay. The way that it worked for me is I did 4 full years and then I student taught in the fall. So it was like a 4.5 year thing for me. So that means you must have really been on the ball. You got everything done in 3.5 years so you could student.
Yeah. So that's how OSU does it actually. They have a plan where they have us do 3.5 years of classes, and then your last semester in the spring you student teach, and then you're done.
Wow.
It's a 4-year program for us. Yeah,
That's nice. I mean, it was a 4 year program for me, but I just couldn't get it all done in 4 years.
it's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I
It's a,
was kind of glad to student teach in the fall because I got to see how everything started from the very beginning. So that was kind of nice.
I wish it was a full year, honestly, so you could see marching band and or starting the kids marching band, and then the transition into concert season.
Oh yeah, because
But
that there's a lot that goes on in the fall.
Yeah, because I mainly am at a middle school all day. I'm at their high school that they feed into in the mornings, but I'm at a middle school most of the day, and I I don't haven't experienced starting kids. I mean, besides when I started, but it's different when you're the
Yeah,
student. So
it's different on the other side for
yeah.
sure. Well, do you know anything about what's happening next year? Have you applied for some jobs? Have you already landed a job?
I am in the process of applying for jobs. I've
Okay.
been kind of waiting a little bit because more positions are starting to open as we get closer to the end of the year. So I've
Sure.
been applying, but just kind of mainly looking right now just to kind of see what's popping up.
Sure. And a lot of people will transition or shift, and then there will be a sudden job open. You know how that goes too.
Yes.
Well, cool. That's exciting. So, congratulations. That's big.
I'm excited. I'm
Good.
excited. I'm so glad.
Well, Caitlin's etude in the book is called Baker's Blues, and that's her last name, of course. And the reason I chose this one for you is because I think it was your senior year. You guys had maybe it was your junior year. You had a marching show where you played something really like big and like slimy as a solo on the marching field. What was that song or what was that show?
So that was my sophomore year,
Oh,
actually. I
wow.
think
Okay.
all the way back. Oh, throwing it all the way back. That was my sophomore year, and that was Fiddler on the Roof. And me and Zach Casper did a duet, and he played. It was just super fun. It was just a super cool jazzy duet. And as you know, like we got on the drum major's podium and on the or podium ladder, excuse me,
Yeah.
and just had fun. It was so fun. It was so fun. I absolutely loved it.
That's cool. Like the memory I have is helping you learn that and working on glissando. And then we were practicing
Mm-hmm.
in the band room, and I was on the other side of the band room. I was like, "You got to play it louder. You just have to play it
Yeah.
louder." And so we just kept pushing your volume. It was fun.
I remember that. I remember learning the glissandos with you, and I was always getting so frustrated because I could never do it.
Oh,
But I could do it. I got it.
good. That's
So,
good. And there are
so
some glissandos in this etude, and I put those in there on purpose. And they're kind of good beginner glissandos. Like there's A to C, and that one's pretty easy to accomplish. That's kind of a first glissando. E up to A and F up to A, and they're not ridiculous. You're not trying to do like Rhapsody in Blue at your very first glissando, you know.
that one I still have trouble with. That one's
Yeah, that's a tough
yeah,
one.
for sure.
Well, I'm gonna pop that music up on the screen. We can talk about some things, and you can of course jump in any ideas that you have too. So this is Baker's Blues. The finger drill is F to A flat as well as F to A natural. For all of the Fs, if you want, you can play them all on the left side. Especially when you have A flat next, you kind of have to, unless you have the alternate key, then you've got a lot more options and varieties that you can do with this one. But notice that it's A flat, then it's A natural, then it's A flat, then it's A natural, then it's A flat, then oh, it's A natural. So I marked the courtesy in the very first one, and as you play through this and people looking at this for the first time, you may want to pencil in some of those for reminders, but just know that that's kind of a constant. It's A flat, then it's A natural. And I wanted to keep the page kind of clean looking, so I only did that courtesy accidental one time. So that is part of the challenge, and you can do everything on the left, like I said, with your F, or you can go to your right F after an A natural to really mix it up. There's a lot of different ways you can do this to really like work on some finger details. And then I will say for sure, you know, my jazz experience is kind of limited. I mean, I played in jazz band in high school, I think 1 year on tenor sax, and then I played jazz band in college on trumpet for, I don't know, 2 or 3 years, something like that. So I did play some trumpet quite a bit. That's kind of a secondary instrument, kind of random with the clarinet. But so I have some jazz experience, but I'm certainly no jazz expert. But I like playing glissando. I like playing jazzy tunes, but I certainly have not been like educated like properly on jazz, I would say. So these are all kind of experiments, and it's a great way to like get your foot in the door in the jazz idea. So there's 2 jazz etudes in this book. And it's a great teaching tool too if you've got a student who's interested in doing jazz. And it's like, well, let's start with this etude and learn how to swing eighth notes and learn how to emphasize the offbeat and things like that, so that you just get a little bit of a taste of it. And then if your students take to it and they really like it, then you can transition to something else like the Jamie Aebersold books, or just listening, doing dictation, all kinds of different activities you can do for learning jazz. And of course, that is just scratching the surface, because there's so much in jazz that flies way over my head. So, all right, let's see. I was gonna say something else. Yeah, I think that's the main stuff there. Um, and I posted something around Christmas time because the Christmas tree was behind me, where I played this to a backing track. So if you find any E flat blues backing track, you can play this along with it, which is kind of cool. It is based on 12 bar blues. There are 2 cycles of 12 bars. However, at the very end, starting from this pickup to the end, these last 4 measures are really just kind of a tag ending, a coda, if you will, kind of. So that's where I break the rules of the 12 bar blues a little bit. So when I did that recording, I played from the beginning, and then when I got down to, let me see if I can find it, this right here. So this is the middle of measure 25. Then I jumped right back to the beginning, so that cycle would start over again. And then when I got to 13, that's when I just did the ending at the bottom, like the last measure. So then you got like the full 12 bar cycle 3 times, I think. And it landed nicely with the little practice track, or the backing track that I had chosen, so that worked out well. Well, let's talk a little bit about glissando, Caitlin.
All right.
So, have you played this one recently to where you could play little bits of it? Because I'm still kind of TMJ recovering.
Yeah, I've played it. Yeah, I've played it a couple times. I love it. It's so fun. It's super, super fun. Is there any particular spot that you want me to start at?
Um,
Feature
how
glissando?
about play just like the first couple of lines or up to measure 5, just so that we can hear the swinging rhythms, and then I might have you do some glissando. Nice. Hey, and the sound's coming through nicely too.
Okay, okay, yeah. I don't have the best recording system right now, so I apologize.
That's okay. No, it came through really well. So, you swing those rhythms, you're going to go short, long, short, long, short. Da 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 dee da da da. Long, short, long, short. So you want to get that like groovy kind of this triplet. You see this comparison here. If you've never played anything jazzy, it's going to feel like a triplet subdivision. So you'll have the long note at the beginning and the shorter note at the end. But we could talk for hours about that because that's like everybody's in a different place who is playing through this book. So this may be the very first exposure to jazz ever. And then there are other people who are playing in this book who are jazz experts and may even be laughing at me. And that's okay. So I don't care. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about glissando. I don't know if you know this girl, but Laura, I can't remember her last name, but she goes by like Laura Clarinet. And she has a cool like British or New Zealand accent. I can't remember exactly where she's from. I apologize, Laura, if you're seeing this. But she put up a wonderful video about how to do glissando, and I'm going to share that link down below once this post live, or this live post is posted, and then everybody can check that out. But I have several students learning glissando, and I've been looking and looking for just the right video, and I'll find parts of one video that I really like and parts of another video. But I liked everything in her video. She explained it almost the same way I explain it, and I was like, okay, this is the one. So I have my students watch that video. Have you seen her stuff yet, Caitlin?
You taught me that. I did the whole lesson on just glissando.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about like the way I introduce glissando. I'm going to stop sharing here for a second so we can see each other better. I start on high C, and then I work on bending that pitch a half step. And that's kind of the first step, because bending the pitch and getting used to how that feels in the oral cavity and with the air is very foreign. I notice a lot of students, they try to do it with like, wah, opening big, and that doesn't necessarily do it. My chin, my embouchure all stays the same. I just think of opening my throat, dropping my tongue a little bit, kind of going like, E, and the tongue goes forward and down a little bit, and the more forward and down you go, the further the pitch will drop down. And I love doing it when I can go like really low and then come back up. It's so fun. Of course I can't play, I don't even have a reed on because I'm trying to be good, but that's where you can start with high C and try to bend that, and then you can work your way down the clarinet chromatically. Take a B and try to bend it, B flat, try to bend it, A, and so on. And then when you get to the point where you can bend a G pretty well, then I work on just that top hand. So I play a G, I sink the G, and then I pull my fingers away slowly, and keep in mind this finger slide part is like 5% of the job. Too many people get focused on the fingers and they think it's all on the fingers. It's all on the voicing and what you're doing with your tongue. So take the G, drop the G, hold the G down. It's like you're trying to push it down. Pull your fingers away and you try to keep that G pulled down, down, down. And then with just your voicing, you bring the pitch up to the high C. You want to try that on a G, dip it down, then slide it up. That's great. No, that's good though. Can you get it where we can see your hands a little better? Because I want people to see that it's more about voicing, less about fingers. There you go. Perfect. Yeah. Idea. And I usually tell people it's kind of hard to do slow, and we always try to do it slow when we're first learning, but it's actually easier to go fast and then try slower. But sometimes that whole concept is hard to do fast. Try a little bit of a faster version. We'll probably hear a cleaner slide. That was a nice one.
There you go. Yeah.
Good. Very good. So it may take some people a while, but you just kind of play around with it. It took me about 2 or 3 months to really get it. And that's about average for most of my students too, if they're really interested in getting it. If they only try it like once a week, it's going to take longer. So, but very nice, very, very slimy. Well, I'm going to pop the music back up and maybe have you play a couple of those
Sure.
Glissandi is the proper plural. Glissandi. So how about like right where it says bells up, and if nobody knows what that is, that's like when you just go nuts and you're bringing your bell way up and you're just kind of jamming out. That was just sort of like a fun marking to put down.
I love that marking right there.
All right. Well, you can get into it from these pickups, or you can just go right at 14. And I want to hear this slide right there, that glissando. Nice. Very good. I also meant to mention, because you did a little bit of articulation that reminded me. At the very bottom, I have this little jazz tip: slur everything as a default. And then you can add some articulations here and there, but I would start by just slurring everything. And then you can work on emphasizing the offbeats. So you play softer on the front beat, bigger on the offbeat. In jazz, they call it ghosting. So you want to ghost the on beats and then emphasize the offbeats, things like that. And then at the very end, notice this line is a squiggly line, which is different from the slanted lines, which indicate glissando. So this is just a scale down. So literally, you can just scale down F major down to that low F. I like to cheat it a little bit. I'll play the thumb F a little bit long. Ba ba do ba, and then I go right to C and then scale the rest of it down. So ba ba do ba, ba da. So I get the C and then I go down because I want that part to go kind of quick. But you can play the full scale if you want. People can decide how they want to do that. And this is one that's completely open to individual interpretations. So if you want to add extra slides or glissando or extra notes or grace notes or things in between, I would love to hear that creativity, especially for our more experienced jazz players who play in this group. That would be fantastic. I really want to hear it rock out. So, do you notice anything, Caitlin, that you would say, like practice ideas on anything in this?
For me, honestly, the biggest thing, aside from once they get the rhythm down, which is honestly sometimes the hardest thing, the rhythm and the glissandos, is really watching your pinkies. Really, really watching where your pinkies go because, as you can see on my clarinet, I don't have the alternate fingering, so I had to go through. And if you look at my music, I literally have everything marked because I kept wanting to play F on the right or do something weird and slide or E flat C. So honestly, I think that's the biggest thing that I know that I would have an issue with, especially and that I definitely did have an issue with was the watching those pinkies.
Yeah,
This can be a problem sometimes.
yeah,
So
it's definitely a pinky challenge. So, and it's good for the low pinkies because there are so many people who are in lessons. A lot of times, the people who take lessons are kind of your first chair or first row players. Because they're really working and they're trying out for honor bands and things like that. So their band parts are like middle of the staff and higher most of the time. And then I'll get those advanced players and they can't play anything below low G. And it's like, you got to know those notes too. You got to know the whole range. So this is good for pushing the range with your advanced players too, like pushing the low range and introducing glissando too, because that's fun.
and I love it because it sits kind of in the lower range, and you get those points where you're up in altissimo, but for the most part, it's way low in the chalumeau. And I love the sound of that. That
Yeah, me
part of
too. I like the
it.
low clarinet sound too. And I look forward to hearing how everybody interprets this one this week. It's a lot of fun. If it's tough for you, you could just post your favorite part, because this one's a lot to chew on for someone just starting to learn something with jazz. I mean, it's a lot. It can take a while, and you could also just practice it and maybe post it in a few weeks once you have it down. The schedule that I have is mainly just to keep me on track, but feel free to jump around the book or play something when you feel caught up when you've learned something. That's totally fine too. Is there anything else that you wanted to say about the etude, Caitlin? Or
Um, I mean, it's super fun. I love it.
that's good.
It's really fun. I think another thing, and now that I was thinking about it as you were talking just now, another thing I think that I also struggled with a little bit, definitely, because like we talked about, we're both not super experienced in jazz. You more than me, but Definitely the rhythm in terms of a pickup. So, for example, in measure, let's see, measure four, when you come in on the tay of three, I always wanted to play that long, short, long. I mean, it is up for interpretation, right?
This one
Um,
right here?
yeah, or short, long, short, excuse me, short, long, short. So backwards, I would flip it.
Oh, okay.
So coming in on tay is another thing that kind of is, can be a challenge if you're because you're not starting on a downbeat.
Yeah.
So
And you can, when you do these little finger drills up here, you can practice the swing style, like ba dee da dee da dee da dee, just to kind of get into the groove of it. That would be a great way to start. So, well, thank you, Caitlin, for joining us, and it was good to see you. I hope that everything wraps up with your school year really nicely. And if you're planning to stick around in the area, I'll let you know if I hear of any job openings.
it
Then
sounds.
I'll definitely push them your way because I know you're gonna do great. Where are you student teaching?
I'm currently student teaching in more public schools, so I'm well not for more public schools, but specifically Southmore High School and
Oh,
Southwest Junior. All of the teachers there are super super helpful, and I've gotten so much experience. And I honestly don't think I could have been placed anywhere better. I mean, such a great school, and such great teachers and kids. So it's been
oh,
super.
that's good. That's really good. All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap up and everybody enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Next week will probably be pre recorded because next Sunday is Mother's Day. So, with Hayden and the next Jazzy Etude, which is Hayden's, couldn't think of it. Winding Roads. I couldn't think of it. So, we'll do Winding Roads for next week, but I'll probably do a pre recorded with Hayden so we're not interrupting Mother's Day plans. Well, thanks again, Caitlin, for joining us, and I'll see everybody next time. Bye.